Welcome to the 2025 Psychosocial Safety Summit, coming to you in March in the Hunter region. We're doing things differently again this year by introducing you to our wonderful speakers and partners in the lead up to the summit. Why are we doing this? Because building relationships is at the heart of everything we do. And at many events, insights about the speakers get missed unless you happen to sit with them or meet with them afterwards. I'm changing that by helping you connect with these incredible people before you arrive. And look, if you haven't got your tickets yet, don't wait. Click on the link below to secure your spot. But today, I'm excited to introduce you to Summit partner and speaker, Dr. Caroline Howe, who's the founder and CEO of Create Today, Howe Safe, and My Social Support Network. Thank you so much for joining us, Caroline.
It is such a pleasure to be back yet again, Nicole.
Back, yes, because you have been involved in all 4 summits as a speaker. And in 2025, you're also going to be a partner. And we're changing things up in a big way. Some of them you'll only find out if you come. The others we'll share a little bit of a sneak peek about today. But what's your reason for continuing to come back and be involved every year?
Do you know what it is? It's your passion. And we can go into the theory of people not truly understanding psychological and social.
Yeah,
there's that's an ongoing frustration, and it's so important to untangle. And there are very few opportunities or forums, particularly post-COVID, where we've had the opportunity to get people together to go, what does psychological look like? What does social look like? Are they the same? Are they different? How do they interact with each other? Because the word psychosocial doesn't mean anything. So why I come back is because we get people together in a room that have not only incredible solutions to problems, but there's this opportunity and willingness to help each other. And you very rarely find that in any other forum. So that's really why I come back, for the connection and the relationships.
Yes. And I am so grateful for your involvement. And every year you bring new insights, new wisdom, new experience. And this year or next year, 2025, is going to be bigger and better. And behind the scenes, you and I are incredibly excited. Right now, we're incredibly excited. But there are some people who may not have met you before. Can you share just a little bit about your background and experience?
I have worked in, I guess you would call it, that field of rehabilitation for about 30 years, working inside other rehab providers, insurance companies, teaching at the University of Sydney. And I said to people way back then, one day you will be the leaders. And we happened to be at an award event, and someone got up, not an award, and I thought, my student.
Yes.
So I've had this amazing opportunity to see how so much has changed and yet nothing at all.
Yes.
In this area of workers' compensation, injury, illness and disability. And that's really where I come from, and the background, and what keeps me going is that there's still so much to change, even after all these years. So that's a little bit of my background.
And you and My Social Support Network really lead the way when it comes to that social part, when the unfortunate happens and someone's injured by a psychosocial injury. And you have really shared wisdom, insights, and knowledge over the last 3 years. This year, though, we're focusing more on Create Today. Can you share with us what inspired you to start Create Today?
Create Today has always been the mothership, and I've kept it in the background. Create Today is where the ideas, the innovation, and the use of technology come from. And the purpose or the mission of Create Today was to always be able to have online solutions for psychosocial injury, illness, or disability. And whether that's for you as an employer or you as the injured, ill, or disabled person, then that's where you get the Howe Safe, and that's where you get the My Social Support Network. And then Create Today on its own is how can you create your best today, how can you create your best tomorrow starting today?
Yes.
So the Create Today brand was always about you as an individual, but you may be an employer, you may be an employee, and therefore you get the other parts of, I guess, almost a scale. And that's how Create Today fits. And I just think it's a lovely name, don't you?
It is.
You know, it's your best tomorrow begins today. Everything that happens tomorrow, only you can control, and it's a very, very difficult thing to accept and realize in the psychosocial injury space.
Yes. So can you tell us how Create Today helps organizations to really thrive? You kind of have touched on it.
Well, it's to bring to life those three products, because in Howe Safe, I'll quickly take you back, because we keep talking about psychosocial.
Yes.
In my opinion, and there will be many people out there that will go, no, you're wrong. Psychosocial isn't a thing. You have psychological and you have social. And there are a lot of products, there are a lot of services, and there's a lot of support in that psychological space. But there is very little in social. And so the theory of social safety started really to get legs in 2019. And we have always firmly sat in that social safety space. Because I can tell you what a psychological hazard is, but oftentimes underneath, it is a social condition that creates a hazard. So you cannot have bullying that's created by people.
Yes.
It's not the wall is bullying me and that's creating, that's impacting my mental health. So it's a social condition. So therefore, we look at how you can manage that in the workplace. Loneliness, belonging. Do you belong? Do you know, here's a fun fact, that if you don't feel like you belong and if you feel isolated, your safe behavior changes. And therefore, the whole safety culture starts to break down. And that's a social condition. So in Howe Safe, we look at that. And then in my social support network, often within an injury or an illness, you become so frightfully isolated. In fact, if I am on maternity leave, if I suddenly take long bouts of sick leave for whatever reason, and I can't stay engaged with that workforce, my mental health will start to suffer. But again, it's being driven by a social condition. And so my social support network is an online community where we have access to social events, virtual holidays, exercise, yoga, various programs to help people stay connected and present. And then when they feel like they've either recovered or they feel connected to the community, they can then freely and independently take that next step.
Yeah. And they're empowered and confident to do so. You take people where they don't have that back to life again, so that they can create their best tomorrow today. Create today.
Create today. Your best tomorrow begins today. Create today.
Look, and we are changing things up for a couple of reasons. One, we have listened to people and they wanted more. They did say from the last summit, I wish this was 3 days. I could listen to every single speaker for a full day. And obviously we can't do that. But they did love the practicality of some things and wanted more of that. So we're changing the format, and on the second day, so on Friday the 21st, we're holding a workshop. Can you give a sneak peek of what we're going to be doing in that?
The purpose of that workshop is to be able to help employers or employees understand and work through their own individual case studies at work, to looking at untangle, managing mental health, mental illness, and mental resilience. They're very different and they impact the workplace in ways that can really destroy the fabric of that culture and that community. And So what I'd like to do on that second day is for allow employers to not only understand the differences, get the tools, work through the problems, and leave that day understanding and being able to go back to their workplace and go, this is what I need to do. This is who I can contact for help. This is what I've learned. These are the questions that I've asked. This is the toolbox of information I have, and here's how I can implement it.
Yeah, because it is such a sensitive topic, and people think, gosh, I don't want to do anything that will impact or negatively harm someone with a mental illness any further. So they do nothing, which impacts and harms everyone.
Yeah. And it's that term, even in this conversation, they talk about the person with mental health. Well, we all have mental health.
Yep.
All got it. No, but they've got it now. I actually don't know what that means. From an employer's perspective, there are things that you can do about disclosed mental illness to make an environment accessible. Yeah. Undisclosed, there's very little I can do other than not talk about it. And then you as the worker are going to continue to feel isolated, feel excluded. And you can just see the psychological injury claim coming now, because if it's not for that individual, it's going to be for the whole team.
Yes.
So helping someone understand that this is just a conversation. How do you manage performance management if someone has now said, I have a mental illness? It's not disclosed. There is no diagnosis. I think I have it.
Yeah.
Therefore, what is the leader supposed to do? Are they supposed to treat for something that they don't know, they have no evidence for? And now are they performance managing, or are they not performance managing? Are they in fear of the person taking their life? How do they manage that? So they are the things that really, particularly in bigger organizations, and it happens in smaller organizations, but I do know that if you're under 15 employees, your rules are slightly different. But in big organizations, it's not fair for everybody, and therefore you get the culture. It's this ripple effect. So that's why we want to kind of dig into that problem and
I'm looking
get some
forward
solutions
to that.
on the table.
Yes. And what's really interesting is it will lead on from John Toomey is talking about on day one, there's a missing link when it comes to mental health. So he's going to be sharing one of the reasons why there is an issue, and we'll be able to workshop those things as you were talking about, so that people have those practical tools to go back confidently to the workplace and say, I know how to help. I know how to move forward. I know how to take the next steps without causing harm, and making sure it's fair and transparent and supportive, transparent where it needs to be, but supportive for everyone in the entire process. So I am really looking forward to this. And what we're also doing is 6 months later, we're going to have another workshop so that we can talk about any new challenges that you have, how you're going with the implementation of, the new tools that you've got, and where your goals are and how you're achieving those.
Yeah, and I think that's the really big difference about the summit this year, in that a lot of the conferences that you tend to go to, you sit there all day, you get lots of information, you write it down on a piece of paper, and then you go home and that's it, it's done. And then you think, you'll take a piece of paper and think, I don't know how I now do this at work. So the purpose of this is to be able to get some real solid support, information, and also that sense of community. There's not just you trying to solve a problem, you're now connected to a range of people. And then when we all get back together, you can all talk about what changed, what's different, what worked in different environments too, and share again, so that you're not just floundering about, because the floundering causes a lot of people great distress.
It does. It's a hazard as well, right?
It is. And I don't think it's one of the 16 that's listed. Floundering.
Yes. And look, that's been the feedback from all of the summits, is they love the fact that there are so many people, like-minded people, that are passionate about psychosocial safety as they are. You kind of think that you're on your own, because you might be a HR or work health and safety or a leadership team of one, or, a couple, and no one really knows the tough stuff and the solutions. So to come together, everyone loved that in Brisbane. So we're building on that. We heard what you said and we want to help extend that as well. And yeah, I can't wait to share other things.
And if they came to my workshop in Brisbane, they would know it was very practical in nature. And I can't promise we won't be doing the hokey pokey again. No,
Well,
but we won't be doing the hokey pokey, but we will be practicing so that it really helps embed how to do it.
Yes.
Because that is such a frustration. How do I do it? So we'll be talking a lot about that.
Yeah, looking forward to it. And look, there's probably people who are going, oh my gosh, this lady's amazing. How do they connect with you if they can't wait until the summit? What's the best way to get in touch?
Well, there are 3 ways. This is the one. You can get in touch with me through Create Today, my social support network, or Howe Safe. So any of those websites, and Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. But probably if you're watching and you're interested, LinkedIn is likely the most efficient way and fastest way to get in touch with me.
Yes. Look, I am incredibly grateful for your continued support and your amazing experience and insights. Thank you so much for being involved in every single summit. And I cannot implore enough that anyone listening must meet you in person if they haven't already. And if they have, here's another opportunity. So don't miss out on meeting Caroline in person. Grab your ticket and we cannot wait to see you there.
It's a pleasure. I can't wait either.